name is Richard. That's Tom. This is Terrifying Tom. And this week we are watching the 2001 film, The Others. Hello, and thank you once again for joining us on this tour through horror history. Yeah, I like the sound of that. That sounds good. It's got good alliteration to it. So, as I said, this week we are watching the 2001 film The Others, where a woman who lives in her old family house with her 2 photosensitive children becomes convinced that it is haunted when strange things begin to happen. It stars Nicole Kidman, Christopher Eccleston, who I actually forgot was in this. Check this name out. Fionnuala Flanagan. So, but Fionnuala.
You should have taken time to pronounce that, but
yeah, seriously, Fionnuala. How would you pronounce that?
Give me that. Fionnuala.
Oh, because your pronunciation is so much better than mine. Anyway, Fionnuala Flanagan, we apologise for the butchering of your name. And Alakina Man.
Alakini Man.
Alakini Man. It is directed by Alejandro Amenabar, which is strange because I always thought that this was a M. Night Shyamalan film.
Because of what happens at the end.
Yeah, it's and it was that era as well where he was like everywhere. Yeah. So it just felt like everywhere. It just felt like an M. Night Shyamalan film.
Yeah.
But
it's understandable.
Yeah, but no, it wasn't. Yeah, so first impressions, Tom, what did you make of this film? First of all, do you remember, have you ever watched this film before?
I have, yes. I've been to the cinema to see this film.
So you actually saw it when it was released? Okay. And do you have many memories of it from then?
I remember liking it from back then. Yeah, I remember liking it. I remember finding it scary. Mm-hmm. And I remember liking the ending.
Yeah.
Well, we won't get to the ending just yet, but, big reveal. Mm-hmm. But, so you remember you were scared by it when you first saw it?
Yes.
Okay. So when I told you that we were watching The Others, how did you feel about it then?
I was pretty happy to watch it again. It's been a long time since I saw it, probably, but you said 2001 it came out, so it's about 20 years, yeah.
It was released on the 2nd of November, so it missed the Halloween market. Just missed the Halloween. I mean, it came out just after it, but yeah, it was released on the 2nd of November 2001. So you would have thought it would come out a little bit earlier for the...
It is a weird release date.
Yeah.
Movie.
Like you would have thought some point in October it would have come out for a... Unless they were trying not to be cliche. I mean, I'm not sure what other horror films would have been released in this year, 2001. Would that have been Halloween? Would that have been re-released again?
Halloween H2O.
H2O, yeah.
I was going to say Blair Witch, but I think that's a bit soon. I think that was late 90s. Late 90s, yeah. I can't remember what other horror.
I'm not sure what it was.
13 Ghosts, maybe.
God, that film was terrible.
Yeah, not great. I'm trying.
Ghost shit.
I was going to say Final Destination, but I think that might be...
I mean, there might have been one around then. I'm not sure. But, yeah, maybe they were just trying to get out of all of the noise.
Or maybe they're trying to release it closer to Oscar season.
Well, actually, funny you should mention that. I have this written down here. What was it? Where have I written this? Here we go. This is why I think that they were trying to maybe get it out of the noise of the horror films a little bit, because they wanted it to be more of an artsy... like a noir kind of film, you know.
I can see that,
because it was nominated for 2 BAFTAs.
There you go.
So it was actually nominated for awards. So that perhaps they were trying to make it a little bit more artistic.
Was it nominated for Oscars?
It wasn't nominated for any Oscars.
Okay,
no.
I can see why it's nominated for BAFTAs though.
Yeah,
it's got British actors in it.
Yeah,
it's a surefire way of being nominated for BAFTA.
Usually a good symbol, isn't it? Plus, it was based in Britain.
Yeah, I think Nicole Kidman was pretty big at that time, wasn't she?
That
was
one
of the top actresses.
Peak of her powers.
I think she was nominated for Best Actress for another film, I want to say. Is it The Hours, maybe, I'm thinking of? But either next year or the year after that, I'll definitely have for Best Actress, I think.
Yeah, I think that this is the era where she's
Whatever.
just broken up with Tom Cruise, right? And she's kind of out there on her own,
Yeah.
but making waves.
Her eyes wide shut.
Yeah. So she's kind of at the peak of her powers at this point. So yeah, casting her in a horror film would give it a little bit more levity, I think, towards artistic rather than horror.
You know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would have checked this movie out just because she was in it.
Yeah.
Even probably not horror people.
Yeah, no, a lot of fans, a lot of
Because
perverts.
she was a name at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching this film. I didn't watch it at the cinema, but I remember watching it at home. And I remember having poor impressions of it
Okay.
when I first watched it. I think that was because it was like it came around with all the M. Night Shyamalan stuff. So, you know, I mean, I told you while we were watching it, the twist, I knew right at the beginning what the twist was.
Right.
Like,
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't know.
from the very first scene, I was like, yeah, this is blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I knew exactly what was going on by that point. So I remember not having such fond memories of this film for that reason. But watching it again this time around, I actually appreciate it a lot more.
Oh, good.
And I think that I noticed a lot more that I didn't notice the first time around.
I think it's easy to pick that up, but then you said you knew the twist straight away, so I don't know.
Twist.
But
There was a lot.
So later on in the film, when the husband comes back,
Yes.
there's a lot to appreciate in that section of the film that I don't think I really paid attention to the first time, because I remember the first time I watched this film being confused by all of this. Even though I knew the twist, it was like, well, what?
yeah, I sort of agree with that from the same side, but obviously now I knew the twist going into it. It was a lot easier to work out the stuff that was going on when you know what the twist is.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into the film a little bit. So we obviously start off on, it's the island of Jersey, right? It's one of the Channel Islands, just after World War II, although it's not clear whether they still giving away the ending a little bit here, aren't I, if I say something like this, but yeah, we'll circle back round to that, actually. Yeah, we'll circle back round. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone has seen.
I don't think everyone's seen the others, mate. Especially younger people.
Well, I mean, if they're listening to this, they're going to have spoilers anyway, aren't they? I mean, but yeah, I'm sure lots of people must have seen it. It's like ruining the twist for The Sixth Sense.
I don't think it's as popular as The Sixth Sense.
Not as popular, no.
I think everyone has twisted that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say everyone has twisted this. I think everyone's seen this one.
Okay, well, I'm not sure. Anyway, it takes place on the Channel Islands, and we open with Nicole Kidman in her big manor house, and this weird little Irish family, although only one of them's Irish, but they're not really a family, turn up for the housekeeping jobs, and instantly we feel a little bit creepy because her kids need to be in complete darkness.
Yep.
So every door must be locked before the preceding door is opened. Every set of curtains must be drawn closed if the children have any chance of walking through and things like that. So you get a creepy kind of vibe from the house. It's very, I don't want to say Hammer horror, but like,
It's a nice way to keep everything dark.
yeah, it's a good way of avoiding the whole we need to see shit in daylight kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it all automatically makes the creepy vibe, doesn't it, I think?
Yeah, and when you do see daylight later on, it's quite scary. But we'll get onto that scene later.
Okay. I'm not sure what scene are you talking about? The scene with all the room with the mannequins?
The removal.
The removal? Ah, yes. See, you remember more of this film than I do. It's been it's actually been a couple of weeks since we watched this film, and now we're, has it? Oh, God, time flies. But now we're sitting down to record this podcast, and I'm trying to remember everything that we were actually watching in this film. But, yeah, so what do you make of the overall ambience of the film? Do you think that Do you think that's a good plot device? Do you think it's a little bit cliche? What do you think about it?
I mean, first of all, the house is the only house, and you see in this film, it's surrounded by land.
I'm assuming that they're supposed to be a fairly rich family.
Yeah, so right away you're in a scary looking house and in nowhere. We're in a house which has to be dark all the time.
And it's always foggy.
It's always foggy, yeah, and you got
that's a plot device as well, isn't it? But
and you just get a family just turning up out of nowhere.
Just like, and then we find out through Nicole Kidman that she hasn't even sent the advertisement off yet for the jobs that these people have come to fill.
How would she have sent it off? Carrier pigeon at this time?
Well, no, it would have been. Still would have had posted offices. Yeah, I mean, when was the? I mean, the Royal Post Office, I think, was towards the end of the 19th century. So I'm sure we would have had post by this point.
Right.
But she talks about leaving. She found the advertisement in the letterbox still. The postman hasn't collected it yet. So could you tell me how you were informed of this position if it hasn't even been advertised yet? And then the Irish lady, I'm assuming that's Fiona Nula. It's quite an Irish name. She informs them that she's worked in this house before.
Yeah. Foreshadowing. As most of this film is foreshadowing when you know the fucking twist of it. Sorry, that's where.
The whole film is foreshadowing, basically, isn't it? Yeah. So, as we move through the film, creepy things start to happen. It follows the basic haunting plot. Little things at first, like, I'm sure I left that there, or I'm sure I locked this door, and things like that.
Can I mention one key?
Absolutely.
I don't know, is it really that key to this film? I don't know, the girl doesn't speak.
Oh, the one of the helper girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't talk.
No.
But is it really that?
I don't think it's really that important, but they do say it does come up again later. But she says that it was because of a trauma that she had, and then she hasn't spoken since then. Obviously, that comes up again a bit later on. But I mean, it's not necessary. I don't think. I mean, she could have spoken; it would have been fine.
Yeah.
They didn't really need to draw attention to it. I don't really think that the film would have played any differently had that been a part or not. I think it's just something, again, that adds to the creepy factor, and then they can revisit it later on in the film, kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's because she obviously has the answer to this whole conundrum, but she can't talk.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, they all have the answer to the conundrum, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, even the man who sleeps in the shed. The gardener. I mean, he's in on it as well. They all know, don't they?
I mean, it's always useful to have somebody in a horror movie that can't talk.
Yeah, obviously.
So,
knows all of the answers.
dogs,
and,
babies.
Yeah.
Who know what's going on?
But again, this is what I was saying to you. Is this cliche, or is it like a well thought out part of the film? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the film would have played any differently had this character not even been in it, to be honest with you. But yeah. But yeah, so creepy things start happening. It starts building up slowly at first, and then starts getting more and more and more drastic as the film goes on, which is basically the theme of any horror film. But then, right in the middle of this building up towards tension, we slam the brakes on, and her husband returns again, which, again, I think that might be why it confused me a little bit when I was younger, because we seem to be building up to this crescendo, and she's accepted that our house is haunted and something's going on and something needs to be done, and then all of a sudden her husband comes back and she's like, there's no such thing as ghosts, stop being so ridiculous and stuff like that. So we go all the way back down to the bottom again to build up again. I don't know, it just feels a bit of a weird break. But I mean, I don't know what you think, but to me it just felt like it was a bit of a weird slamming on of the brakes.
I will say, watching it at the time, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but obviously when you watch it back, it does.
Yeah. But is that because you know the plot twist now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're watching it and you don't know the plot twist, then it just feels odd.
Yeah, he's only in for like 5 minutes, right?
I mean, it's probably like 10 or something like that, but he spends most of it in bed, doesn't he? So, but yeah, it just, if you don't know what's going on, it feels weird. If you know what's going on, it adds to you're like, okay, it adds to the flavour a little bit now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you've never watched this film before, and then you just get that weird brake slamming, it's just going to be a bit odd, really, isn't it? So, but yeah, I found that a bit weird anyway, so... I'm rushing through the plot a little bit here because it's hard to discuss this film without talking about the twist, obviously. So I'm trying to just work our way through the plot a little bit. Anyway, her husband comes home from the war, World War II, and seems to be a bit of a manic depressive. Spends a lot of his time in bed, locked in his room. Doesn't really want to talk to his kids and his wife, and all around acting a bit strange.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know why that is, and we'll circle back around to that again in a minute. But he's in there. They end up having a bit of a conversation. They end up doing the nookie, which all horror films have, and then he's gone again. He leaves. He leaves, and then we're back to where we were with Nicole Kidman, not believing in the ghosts. The kids, trying to convince her that the house is haunted, and then everything starts ramping up again. Then we start moving towards the end of the film, where everything starts to come together a little bit, shall we say. And we start moving towards the twist of this film. And what is the twist, Tom? Would you like to talk us through the twist?
So the twist of the film is Nicole Kidman and her kids are dead.
What?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's the twist, basically, yeah. And they're the ghosts.
Turns out that all the characters that we've been following are dead. And the ghosts are actually the live people. And they're the ones that are being haunted by our main characters. Which is a very good twist. It's a horror film from the perspective of the ghosts, which I think is a very, very interesting premise for a film.
Hello from the other side.
Adele, you're here. Nice for you to join us. Come, sit down. But yeah, I wanted to get to that point because now we can discuss this film a little bit more freely now that we've actually got into that. So circling back round, so we'll go back again to the woman that can't speak.
Yep.
Why can't she speak? Because she's had trauma in her life.
Yeah.
What was the trauma? She died. Along with the other two helpers that come into the film. They all died in the tuberculosis outbreak in like the early 20th century or something like that. So they're there basically to help Nicole Kidman come to terms with the fact that she's dead and her children are dead.
I mean, I think they could have done it better. I mean, talking to the characters, not the reveal that they're dead is pretty good, I think. Particularly the reveal that the three helpers are dead.
What is the reveal?
So they covered up the gravestones, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Their own gravestones.
Their own gravestones, which turns out to be them, which the children discover. Mm-hmm. But we don't see that until Nicole Kidman discovers the photograph. We'll have to talk about what happened earlier in the movie when she found the photo album of people that are photographed dead.
Yeah.
She finds a photo album of people.
Is that in the creepy room with the mannequins?
Possibly.
Yeah.
She finds a photograph album of people who have died. I don't know who that was kept by. Kept by people that live in the house, or
this is the confusing thing. This is the thing I asked you. Like, so if we go right back to the beginning of the film that I was going to spoil and then said no, we'll come back around to that. So this film takes place in 1945. Now, what isn't made clear is, do they still think the war is on, or do they know that the war has finished? And if that is also the case, is it 1945 to them, or is it 1945 to us? Because they could still think it's 1945, but it could be the late 50s, for instance, in our time, because the thing that the woman says is sometimes you'll know that they're here. The what are they called? They're not called. Are they called the intruders or something like that? Aren't they? Yeah. Like sometimes you'll know that they're there. Sometimes you won't notice at all. Basically, so that's just an excuse for like saying sometimes you're going to come across you're going to haunt the people that live in this house. Basically, sometimes you're not going to. We just pass through the same realm and no one notices any difference about anything. So, is it 1945 for them as well, or is it 1945 just in general? That's one thing that I'm not sure about.
I imagine it's around the same time, or a little bit later.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't know how this world works, do you? I mean, like, could she have been dead for like 7 years before all of a sudden her spirit woke up, or something like that?
A lot of time's passed.
Yeah. But then that's the other point as well, is like, how long has she been dead for? Because you're saying, like, you don't know who left that photo album. So it means it's probably been left by the previous owners, in which case, how long has Nicole Kidman been living in that house before she died? Because, like, if it's still packed up in a room that the other owner... I mean... How long have you been living there to not unpack a room? Or discover that the previous owners had left stuff behind?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine this is not very long after they've died, but I could be wrong.
I mean, this isn't very important to the premise of the film.
No, but I get your question. I wonder where you were going with it.
Yeah.
So I don't care if the war's still on or not, but But yeah, I did like the reveal when they showed the photo of the three housekeeper helpers dead in the photograph. That's a bit of a, oh my god, scary moment, of the film. So it was not done nicely.
But then they still made it feel like they were just the ghosts.
Part of the...
Yeah, that was the first reveal.
Yeah, there's like...
there's the second reveal, which comes later with the seance.
Yeah.
So the first reveal makes it seem like... You three are in cahoots with the ghosts that have been haunting us this whole time. Like that, yeah. And then you have the second reveal of the seance, where you find out that Nicole Kidman and her kids are dead because she shot them. No, she didn't shoot them. She smothered them and then shot herself. That's why she keeps going to the shotgun throughout the whole film.
She smothered the children.
Yeah, there's
the pillow.
There was another... what's the word? Foreshadowing moment in that earlier on, wasn't it? When she was it when the little girl was possessed by the
old lady?
Yeah, and she starts strangling her or something like that, doesn't she? Yeah, so it's like another foreshadowing of you.
I mean, the old lady is quite creepy looking in the first place, isn't she?
Yeah. Yeah.
They always had to find like creepy looking people.
That was those were the big scares from the film, weren't they? The big scares was when the little girl turned into the old lady. I am your daughter, silly.
Yeah.
And then right towards the end, where she opens the closet, the wardrobe.
Yeah.
So those are the two big jump scares using the old.
I do like something else earlier in the movie that we didn't mention that seems to be a bit of a horror cliche now. I don't know, but when there's someone talking to someone in the room that isn't alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, shush, shut up, whatever the child's name was. Yeah. I'm not going to shut up. He spoke.
Yeah.
There is a ghost in the room.
Yeah.
That you can't see.
I think that has become a little bit of a cliche now. But,
it worked though, because it was the first proper scare of the movie, I think, for me. That's why I brought it up. But yeah, I thought the ending was executed pretty well. And circling back to the husband, it all makes sense. Now you know that she smothered the kids.
Yeah, so...
with the pillow. And you have signs of her erratic behaviour throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Which shows that she is capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that obviously makes the whole thing with the husband a little bit more clearer. So I think we're led to believe that he's obviously died during the war. She's found out, she's snapped, in the whole I must hurt them to protect them kind of mindset. She's killed her children and then killed herself.
Do you think he died in the war before she died?
I think that's the case. Yeah.
So you don't think it was the other way around?
No, because I think that this is what I was saying to you when we were watching the film, which is why I found it confusing the first time, but watching it back had a much better understanding for it. He is genuinely shocked to see her. Like, I think he knows he's dead with the whole line of "sometimes I bleed."
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Which is a very weird line just to say, but then when you look at it within the context, it's like, you know, sometimes I see myself bleeding and I remember what happened and I've been shot on a beach or something like that.
But he knows that she's dead, right?
Yeah, but I think he knows that she's dead because he knows he's dead. So the fact that he can see her and that she can see him makes him realise what's happened.
You know.
Oh, right. So he doesn't think that she's dead then until he sees her.
He sees her, yeah. Because I think he said he's been trying to make his way home so that he can haunt his family, basically, so he can see him. But then when he sees her and she sees him, I think that's when he realises she's dead. And then when he gets back to the house, and the same thing with the kids, I think he realises they're all dead, and that's why he has that bit of a melancholy.
And he knows that she killed him?
I don't think he knows that just yet. I think he knows that something has gone wrong and something terrible has happened. Maybe the Germans killed them or something like that. But then he says that his daughter, when he has that, after the whole "I am your daughter, silly," she runs off and she talks to him. And then he knows what's happened because he says, "She's told me everything about that night," you know.
Right.
So I think that's when he realises that what's happened. Then he boinks her for some reason.
She's fit.
Yeah, I mean, but she's also just murdered your children. So, you know, priorities, you know.
Get that ghost sex going.
Get that ectoplasm all up in there. But that's the point. It's a little bit out of place because you found out she's just murdered your children. But no, she's still good looking. I mean, she's still Nicole Kidman, isn't she? You know, and then he fucks off. Now the whole fucking off bit.
Typical man, right?
Yeah, right. Hump 'em, dump 'em.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is what I said to you. I don't know whether it's like he has to leave because you kind of have to haunt where you die, if that makes sense. Or
I kind of got the impression it was something to do with that as well.
Or he wanted to leave because he was disgusted by her or something.
Staying in the house.
Yeah.
Children died in.
Yeah. I don't quite know which one of those was the truth. I don't know.
Both, maybe.
Yeah. But that whole scene makes a lot more sense once you know, obviously, what's been going on. And you can tell from his emotions and from his actions, he knows he's dead. But he doesn't necessarily want to believe that they are, I think.
Yeah, I think you spot that.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's just a weird break in the middle of the film because it just resets everything again, which is just a bit weird for my liking. But anyway, what was the other point? Oh, yes. So there is one part that is in lightness that you wanted to talk about. The whole, the house is bathed in sunlight.
Yeah, well, I think I say the most part of the film's in the dark because you get the outside scene. Mm-hmm. I mean, most of the stuff outside is foggy anyway, isn't it? So
misty, spooky in its own
so
way.
Generally, if we're not in a house, the house is dark, and then outside's foggy, so you don't get a lot of light in this movie. Apart from the one scene where obviously we know the kids are photosensitive, and they don't want they want darkness, they don't want light. But there's one scene where Nicole Kidman walks into the room and all the curtains have been torn down. Mm-hmm. So you get a little bit of light there. That's a nice little reveal of a nice scare. You see all the way they shoot it as well. pan around the room.
The zipping camera.
Yeah. The way they do it's pretty good. So it's contrast. You see a little bit of light in the movie, but it's scary because the curtains.
And we obviously find out that the curtains have been taken down by
the
owners of the house, the new owners. I think that they're walking around the house. You see this in the scene with the piano as well, where once you know the twist, you look at it from the other person's point of view. Like Nicole Kidman's point of view is, there's this piano in the house. She has no idea where it's come from. She just accepts that it's there. No one can play the piano, apparently. But then the piano starts playing. And you find out earlier on in the film from the little girl who's been talking to the little boy who's real, but she thinks is a ghost, that his dad is a musician. So he's obviously brought the piano into the house. He's playing the piano.
He is a musician.
Pardon?
Technically, he is.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Because he sang on Vindaloo.
Oh,
It's
right.
Keith Allen.
Okay.
And for our non-English listeners,
Oh, I'm sure all non-English listeners have heard of Vindaloo by Fat Les, right?
Yeah.
It was a song recorded for the World Cup '98 by Keith Allen called Vindaloo. Very poetic song. It's terrible, but I will play it when England games are on.
Really?
Yeah, just to get in the mood, you know.
I'd rather play On the Ball by
Who on the ball? That's terrible as well.
Yeah, but better song than...
But it was just a World Cup song for England.
And the video took the mick out of the Verve's.
Verve's Bittersweet Symphony, which was pretty huge at that time, that video. So there you go.
But anyway,
Big music star in this video.
Yeah.
He was also in the video for New Order's World in Motion
Was he really?
in 1990.
He's a big football fan,
Yeah. Chelsea fan, I think. Ugh. But enough of football talk.
Yeah.
It's a horror podcast.
Horror. Stop trying to calm yourself down. I want you to get all worked up.
Yeah.
but yeah, what I was saying. So from that scene, you look at it from Nicole Kidman. She hears the piano playing. The door slams. The door opens. Blah 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 blah. It's freaky. But then you think about it from the other guy's point of view, and he's sitting there playing the piano, and all of a sudden the door opens, and he's like, "What the hell?" And he goes and like shuts the door or something, and then like the piano lid slams shut, and he's like, "What the?" And then the door opens again, and he's got. But you think of it from his point of view. So then you think about that these people are living in this house, and all of a sudden the curtains just randomly keep closing all the time. So eventually you're gonna be like, "Yeah," and just rip down all of the curtains, aren't you?
That's why I move out at the end of the movie.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because the wife's like, "Enough of this. This is ridiculous."
Yeah.
But
What was it they chant at the end? This house is ours, or something like that.
Yeah.
This house is ours.
Yeah.
Very ghostly way.
Creepy, cultish way of chanting it. But yeah, so then you get all the curtains that are ripped down, and she blames it on the housekeepers, and then this is when it all starts to kind of come together a little bit more, and the housekeepers are like, right, well, enough softly approach. It's time we need to start being a bit more forward with this. Letting her know that she's dead.
I do like that they stopped at the front door instead of
And
just.
they didn't come through.
Instead didn't come through.
It really looked like they were going to come through, though, didn't it?
Yeah, it was not. They're nice, friendly ghosts.
Yeah.
They could have come in, but they just stopped at the front door.
Vampires, you didn't invite us in, so we're not monsters, Yeah.
Not at the front door.
But it watching that scene, it looks like they're gonna phase through the door, doesn't it? Yeah.
Meant to think, isn't it?
Yeah, but then they just
Stand there.
stop at the window, which I don't know if that's more creepy or not.
Yeah, I think that's by design. Yeah.
I can't make up my mind if it would be creepier if they phased through the door or just stopping there and looking at
Ting
me.
them to go through the door,
Yeah.
and the fact they didn't, it's just like, oh,
It's jarring.
Jarring, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit unnerving.
Plus, if they come in, what they would have done nothing.
Yeah.
They would have just talked to her anyway.
Yeah.
So they
The fact they kept the barrier there,
Yeah.
like we could come in if we wanted to, but we're not. We're not your enemy.
and it showed that they were nice in that respect, I guess. Even though they kind of played with it a little bit, they probably should have been more forward with her.
But then,
Sooner.
I guess if you don't know you're dead, and some random people come up to you and keep telling you you're dead, you're going to be like, these people are weird and crazy.
Yeah, so by the way, you're dead and you killed your children.
I was like, fuck, get out of my fucking house. The fucking lunatic, get out of my house.
But then they would have gone through the front door.
And then I would have thought I'm going crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Is there a right way to tell someone they're dead?
Again, it would have been a very boring movie if...
Right in the beginning.
Dead! Oh, okay. Thanks. The end. What is it? It's like, there's something like modern horror films. No, modern films, old films with modern technology. Like Home Alone now wouldn't work. Like, mobile phones. You left me at home alone. Oh, doll. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Yeah. Planes, Trains and Automobiles. With like
I've seen that.
the trainline.com now. You'd never miss a flight or a train in your life. Anyway, yeah. But so yeah, that's basically that's the plot that we've basically talked about and spoke through. So yeah, so let's start moving into how you felt watching this. So you said when I told you we were watching this, you liked the film, so you weren't that bothered. Was there a twinge of nervousness, let's not say fear, because I don't get the impression that you were overly scared at any point watching this. I think the fact that you've seen it before.
I mean, there were a few scenes that was like, a bit nervy.
Mm-hmm.
The scene in the bedroom when she's talking to the boy.
Is that the scene where they're both
when he's in the bed and he's like, stop it, stop doing that. Yeah. And she's like, he's real, I am real, or something like that. And then the curtain scene. Mm-hmm. And the reveal of the housekeeper being dead. That's three scenes I can think of, which are pretty scary. So yeah, I mean, yeah, there was a few scenes in this movie I thought were pretty scared. No, nothing that I was peeking through my fingers at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just a scary movie.
Yeah.
Especially for a first-time viewer of this movie, I think you would be.
Yeah, I think, obviously watching it for the first time, if you didn't know all the ins and outs, then yeah, it would be quite a creepy experience. But like I said, I also think it'll be, a bit odd with the bit in the middle with the husband. I think that kind of takes you out of the moment a little bit. If you don't know what's going on, because like I said to you, this is the first time I've seen this film since seeing it way back in 2001, 2002, something like that. So watching it that time, I was like, really confused by all of this bit. But then watching it this time, I had a new understanding and appreciation of it because I knew the twist. It was very much like I see so much more little nuances in this now, that I didn't notice before.
Perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you think now that you watch the film again, though? I mean,
it's not as scary.
I don't think this film has much replay value.
No,
just because of the twist.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, coming back to it 20 years later and then watching it again, knowing that you know the twist.
It detrived from the fear factor of the film, certainly, knowing that you know all of the little twists and turns that it's going to take. So from a horror standpoint of view, rewatching it again was not scary for me in the least, because obviously I knew all the things that were... I still jumped, obviously, because I'm a pansy when it comes to jumping. I'm easy to make jump. That's not a problem. But true fear, yeah, from a horror standpoint of view, it was completely detrived. But then I still had that the first time I watched it. I told you, the moment I started watching this film, I knew straight away they're all dead. Because of the Sixth Sense, it just, and the M. Night Shyamalan twists, it just kind of ruined it for me a little bit.
If I saw it originally and going in or knowing that there was going to be a twist.
Mm-hmm. I think that I was just programmed at that point to know that there were going to be twists. It felt like the era of the twist.
I probably just saw the trailer that thought it looked cool and went over and see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it was like the era of the twist, personally. But I mean, I didn't know for certain, obviously, because there's still that questioning in your head, like, oh, maybe they're not. I don't know. No, they're not really. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, no, they are. I was right. Yeah, okay. So you're watching it, questioning it, whereas this time I watched it knowing full well everything. I appreciated it from an artistic standpoint of view more than like from a horror point of view. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think there's a lot of rewatchability. Like, I'll probably be happy to wait another 20 years before watching this film again. But having said that, this second time around, I appreciated it a lot more than the first time around. I think that the little subtle things that you missed the first time, watching it the second time is a lot better. But it does detract from the fear factor of it for sure. But I think that's the same with a lot of horror films, though, really, isn't it? I mean, once you know what's going to happen, is it really that scary? I don't know.
Depends how scary the film is, really.
I mean, yeah, maybe we need to wait to get to a film that really scares you. I don't know, but from what I can tell, I think that once you've seen a film, it kind of calms you down a little bit, because I think a lot of the fear is in the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then the aftermath of the unknown as well, you know, like, oh, you got to go to bed by yourself tonight and things like that. Whereas once you know, I've already seen this film and I survived the next night, there's no worries for this one, you know, which I know is a stupid thing to think, because, you know, how much danger are you ever going to be watching a film? But that's not the way your mind works, is it? Once you're scared, you're on edge, and then every little noise, every little shadow, every little everything is, they're out to get me kind of thing, aren't they? But I think that once you've gone through that experience once, then you probably... I mean, I imagine it's a lot like being attacked by an animal. Like, it's terrifying the first time, but if I've already been attacked by it before, then I know what to do in order to survive.
It's a weird way to look at it.
I guess. I don't know, I'm just trying to associate it to something that I would actually be scared of.
Okay.
You know, like a film doesn't really scare me, but being attacked by a bear, that would scare me. You know?
I get what you're talking about. Real life is more scary. Yes, I know.
No, I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm not trying to, but I'm trying to say, like, the last time I was scared, like I said, was Paranormal Activity. Like, and I wasn't scared of the film. I was scared of the night. You know, going to bed by myself afterwards. But then, like, if you put me in that situation again, I'd probably be like, well, I know there's no such thing as ghosts. It's fine. I'll be fine. You know, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah, I don't know. What were your overall thoughts of the film?
I like the film. I think it's a good film. I like the twists a lot. But again, not a lot of rewatchability. Mm-hmm. I'd say it probably gets about a 6 or a 7.
Okay, I wasn't asking you for a mark.
Well, I'm going to give you one anyway.
You piece of shit.
I put the twist up high, though. For me, personally, because I don't think you would, but...
I mean, it's a good twist. I think the way they handle it is good as well. It's just, I think the problem is just I was programmed at that point in time to see every twist coming, so it was just like...
Were there a lot of twists other than Sixth Sense at this point?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, I don't think Signs had come out yet, or The Village had come out.
I don't know. I think The Village might have.
I'm not sure.
What about
I can't think of other twisty movies.
the Bruce Willis film? What was that?
Sixth Sense.
No, the other one. Is it Invincible? What was it? The one where he's a real life superhero, basically.
Oh,
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. That came out before. Yeah, I think. Did it even come out before Sixth? No, it didn't come out before Sixth Sense, did it?
I think Sixth Sense was his big breakthrough, wasn't it?
Okay.
Basically?
Yeah. But yeah, I like that film, and I like the twist in that as well.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So there was, and it wasn't just horror films or things like that. There was loads of films with twists in them. Seven had a twist in it.
Yeah.
You know, what else? The Ring had a twist in it. You know, it's not about her trying to save her. It's about she wants her message spread to loads of other people.
This wasn't a new thing.
No.
Obviously, going back to the 60s and 70s, there were twists in films back then.
But it just felt like there was a point where every film had to have a twist.
Yeah, because of Sixth Sense.
Or a surprise villain, or something like that. You know, like, oh, you thought I was the good guy, ha ha ha, you fool. You know, like every film seemed to have one at that point. You know, that it was just like you were just programmed to, okay, what's the what? There is no twist. That's the twist.
Well, it's like we've been programmed now to sit down at the end of the movie and stay in seats for the credits for every movie now because of Marvel. And even if you're watching, I don't know,
even though end of credits,
Downton Abbey or something like that, you're still going to sit down and watch the credits.
I say, Mrs. Hammersworth, it seems like it's time to get it on. Well, you see the surprise villain coming up, you know, and everyone's like, oh, that's Mussolini. Oh! I love his character in the comic books. But end of credit scenes weren't a new thing. It's just now you've been programmed to feel like everything's going to have an end credit scene. Yeah. And it was the same thing. Twists weren't really a new thing, but in that era, just everything had a twist. You were just waiting, you know, for the twist to come. Yeah. And it was in comedy films, it was in dramas, it was in action films, it was in everything. So I think that I was just programmed to see the twist.
Let's twist again.
Like we did last summer. Yeah. So I think that's what it was. But I'm not saying it's a bad twist. I think it's a good twist. I think they handled it well as well.
If I had to rank twists in films,
that's going to be our new podcast.
Yes, absolutely. I think this one would score high. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start going through some of the things, some of the information for this film. So, it cost only $17 million to make.
Which say only 17 million.
I think most of that's going on Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I mean horror movies in general are pretty
small budget.
Yeah, and they make a lot.
So. This made $210 million. There you go. So a smash hit by any stretch of the imagination. Very successful film, I would say. And like I said, it was nominated for 2 BAFTAs as well. Didn't win, but it was nominated. How many horror films are nominated for BAFTAs or Oscars and things like that? You know.
Not many. I mean, generally, obviously, you get your Silence of the Lambs, your Get Outs, your exceptions, you know, so that role, but not every year you get horror movies nominated.
The runtime is 1 hour and 41 minutes. How did you feel watching this film about the time? I feel like it's a long 1 hour and 40 minutes, personally.
I didn't think it was that bad.
No.
I don't know. I think that there's a lot that could be trimmed. I'm not sure. I don't know what, but it felt long to me. Like it was on the verge of outstaying its welcome. Didn't quite reach that point, but yeah. But I mean, it's better than like a 2-hour film nowadays, really, isn't it?
So, yeah, I thought it had good length.
Yeah. It's rated a 12.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there's no violence in it, is there? There's implied violence.
Yeah.
I mean, you get Nicole Kidman strangling one of the kids, don't you? But yeah, I think 12 is probably fair. I mean, 12-year-old me would have been scared shitless of this.
Yeah, me too.
But 12-year-old other people, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't brought up in horror movies, as we've discussed before.
Nowadays as well, I don't know, 12-year-olds seem to be a lot older than they seem to be, don't they?
Let's quote that.
It's ranked 19th overall on IMDb as of the 4th of July, 2022.
What, all movies?
All horror movies.
Oh, all horror movies. I'm going to say all movies, bloody hell. No, all horror movies. Okay. A little bit high, maybe.
We'll come back to that in a sec. It's got a score of 7.6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair.
With a Metascore of 74 and 84% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Maybe a little high.
So but, I thought that
these are fair scores. I can't disagree too much with them.
Okay, so let's go back to the ranking of 19th. You think that's a bit too high, do you? Bearing in mind that I think that this, not just as a horror film, I think that this was a cultural moment as well, I think.
I don't know.
This is why I'm saying to you earlier that I'm pretty sure most.
Has this movie lived on in pop culture in the last 20 years? I don't think so. Compared to say Sixth Sense,
20 years? No. I mean,
or even Final Destination.
But yeah,
Like, I don't think this movie is like, it Saw. Like Saw came back years after this one. Like, I think those movies are more ingrained in culture than this one is.
But is that more just because they have sequels?
Possibly.
So it keeps it fresh in people's memories. Like, this doesn't have a sequel, and thank God for that, by the way. It's not a film that needs a sequel.
Everything needs a sequel.
And a prequel. I want to see her murder her children.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, is it because of that keeps it in people's minds more than... I mean, for instance, over the last 20 years, Fast and Furious has become a lot more ingrained in the public memory.
Yeah.
It's not because it's good, it's just because they make a crap ton of them.
I would argue the last few movies have been pretty
I
good.
have not seen the last few. I haven't actually seen anything past.
I don't think I've seen the last two, though. I can't remember. Have you not?
No.
Okay. Well, I think are we going to talk about Fast and Furious, or should I just leave it there?
You can brush on it briefly.
Well, I think when Rock joined, it got Dwayne Johnson, obviously. When Dwayne joined for 5, it got a shot in the arm.
Mm.
I mean, that was the first Fast film I've ever seen.
Really?
And I only went to see it because Dwayne was in it.
I really liked.
And I remember being pleasantly surprised at how good it was.
I liked the first 2. And the second one wasn't even really that good. It's just mainly because the cars were really nice.
Yeah, that's probably one reason why I never watched the Fast movies. I'm not really a petrol head.
Fair enough. Anyway, yeah, briefly touched upon it. I don't want to focus on that too much. But, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that I think that that's high. I mean, 19th, which means there are only 18 horror movies ever made that are better than this.
As you said, though, how many horror movies get nominated for Oscars, BAFTAs,
True.
get massive critical acclaim? Not many. I mean, even people will look back at, the horror movies back in day. Mm-hmm. It's easy to look back and say they're not, Friday the 13th is not great. Halloween's a bit long. I'm sure there's other movies I can think of with big holes in them.
I mean, you pick hole in any
big
film.
hole in any film, yeah, of course.
But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, would I say there are only 18 horror films better than this film? Probably not. Would I say that it deserves to be low down? Probably not. Maybe 25, 30, maybe for me? I don't know. But then you're talking about all horror films ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
the
lot.
ones that are above it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to them, but I'm just trying to, ease us in. I will tell you now that there are some above it that are like, really? Yeah. Not just questionable, very questionable in my opinion. There are a few that are higher than this that I'm like, are you sure about that?
Directed by a certain director.
2 of them are, yeah. But there are others that are like, that's not even a horror film. What are you on about? There is a certain... They're talking. They're biting. They're aggressively biting. They're swimming. They're talking again. Talking about Jaws.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember where that is, but I know that one of the films that is above this is a comedy.
Oh, a comedy horror.
It's a comedy horror, but it's very heavily in the comedy section.
Rhymes with Brawn of the Dead.
It does rhyme with Brawn of the Dead. Yeah. It also rhymes with Shaun of the Bread.
Ah.
Yeah. So
No one wants to be Shaun of their bread.
no one wants to be Shaun of their bread. But yeah, that is above this, and I think that that's not really a horror film.
It
But
has horror elements.
that's just my personal opinion.
It has horror elements.
Yeah, but would you say it's scarier than this? as a horror genre.
No.
That's like putting this film,
Film though.
but that's like putting this film higher up in the comedy genre, because there's a part of it that's slightly chuckly. You know,
I
like
think it's a funny film.
she killed her kids.
Oh, sorry, not this film.
Yeah.
The Shaun of the Dead.
No, it's just-
Shaun of the Dead is funny. Yes, it's not.
yeah.
It's not.
Right. So, what was your score again? Out of 10, please.
I'd probably give it a 7.
7 out of 10. That's a good score. So the average is 7.6.
Yeah, so
So-
I can't disagree with those ratings.
Yeah, you're around about the same point. I would probably go a little bit lower. I'd probably say 6 out of 10, maybe something like that. It's a good film. Don't get me wrong. As an artistic film, I think it's actually very good. Doesn't have a lot of rewatchability though, and I don't think it's particularly scary. But that's just my take on it. So I guess the real question is, Tom, did this film terrify you?
I wouldn't go that far, Richard.
No.
How scared were you?
Probably about midway,
Okay.
5 or 6.
So it's a good little touchstone then. Okay, good. All right, okay. That's all I have to say, unless you have anything else you would like to say about this film.
No.
No. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Tom. I appreciate it.
Joining us, Tom.
Joining us, Tom, yeah. Me and the audience.
Oh, right, I see. It's like, who else is in this room? There's somebody else here.
No, I'm not going to tell him.
Stop it, Richard. Stop it.
Why? What? He just wants to talk to you, Tom. He is real. Thank you for playing along. I appreciate that. But yeah, no, me and the audience. Thank you for joining us, Tom, and letting us into your terrifying world.
It is terrifying, all right.
Join us again next time, where we will be putting another horror film to the test and seeing if we can terrify Tom. In the meantime, thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you very much for listening, and sleep tight, everyone.
This has been a Rich T Entertainment production. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. If you wish to see some more videos, please click down below.